Welcome back, guys. So I know it's been a while since I've done reviews, so I thought I would take the time to review something that's just come out on Blu-ray and DVD, Doctor Strange. I wasn't gripped by the promotion material for Doctor Strange. It's
funny you should say that, because I was looking through some old photos and it looks very, similar.
Doctor Strange is about a rich, arrogant scientist who ends up in a life-altering accident that puts him on a quest for redemption. With the help of a wise, foreign, bald ally, he learns something about himself, and that he's more than just a scientist. And just in time, too, to stop a villain equally as skilled as he. Yeah. Basically the same thing as Iron Man, just a lot less fun. The MCU desperately need a new formula. I mean, they're far superior and better at handling their films than everything DC, hands down, no argument there. But the thing is, the Marvel formula is stale now. Probably a good thing that the new Spider-Man film isn't going to be an origin, because bloody hell. But unfortunately, the standard origin story formula for the MCU is broken, and it needs fixed. Because at the end of the day, it is now just stale and predictable. And when you have characters that are very similar in their attitudes and outlooks, Tony Stark and Stephen Strange, both arrogant geniuses, come on, their origin stories are going to be pretty much the same. It's the exact same story and has the exact same beats. So needless to say, I was not amazed by Doctor Strange. I was surprised at the amount of praise the film got. I did think that it was worthy of that much praise. Really, they missed a trick with this film. The first probably 25 minutes of this film could have been condensed into the opening credits, kind of what they did with the Incredible Hulk film. That would have been a really great montage of seeing the greatness of Stephen Strange, and then maybe showcasing him on his journey through the East to find his little magical den. And that would have been a much more interesting way of exploring his crippled and damaged hands, and it would have been an interesting way of exploring his kind of feelings of self-worth and maybe self-worthlessness now, as well as he's on this hunt to kind of reinvigorate himself. But no, the film just follows a really standard Marvel formula where, just very quickly, Stephen is on his mission to find the Ancient One, and very quickly gets into their Ancient One boot camp and starts becoming Magical Sorcerer Supreme with kind of little to no effort. By the time he was becoming Doctor Strange, I was like, I don't feel like you earned this. When you look at Batman Begins, like, Bruce Wayne has to go through a ton of crap in order to become Batman. Like, he earned the right to be Batman, whereas Stephen Strange didn't earn the right to be the Sorcerer Supreme. I went into this film with a couple of predictions. One, I did predict the film would be Iron Man 1. Just from the trailers, it was incredibly obvious that that's what this film was going to be. The hook with this film was Benedict Cumberbatch. It's probably fair to say that he brought in a huge audience that have probably not invested in the Marvel films. Sure, there'll be some crossover with his Sherlock people, but widely speaking, it'll be like, oh, it's the guy from Sherlock. Oh, he's in a Marvel film. Oh, let's go see that because we like him in Sherlock. Those same people probably haven't seen Inception, and they probably haven't seen The Matrix, which is probably why they were so fascinated by the graphics. But to me, I was like, I have seen all of this before. It's a blend of Iron Man 1, The Matrix, and Inception. There was literally nothing interesting or original. The building twisting, upside downing things, I've seen it before. It wasn't unique. It wasn't all inspiring. It was, kind of reminded me of the intro to Thor when we go to Asgard, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're in Plasticville. It didn't pay off well. I also predicted the villain would just be a pawn for someone else to, use him to gain something, and that we really wouldn't learn very much about the villain. Mads Mikkelsen is a terrific actor. I love him in a lot of different roles that he's been in. Obviously, most famous for Hannibal, but he's also in the Bond film and other things. He's a really sharp actor, and he was wasted in this film. He was absolutely wasted. There was no point in him. There was no point in his henchmen. People complain about X-Men Apocalypse and how Apocalypse was cheesy and his horsemen, had no depth to them. Well, come on, guys. Mads barely spoke and his henchmen didn't speak at all. They were just cannon fodder. Like, I don't understand how people can kind of praise this film when it is so blatantly just kind of lame and the villains are so weak. I don't understand why Marvel are afraid to invest in their villains. I'm quite happy to invest in the villain of the story and feel connected to them and feel that kind of tension between the hero and the villain of the story. You know, I don't know why Marvel are just so afraid to do that, but they just clearly are. And I think by the time we get to the Dormammu bit, spoilers I guess, you're just kind of like, what is this? I've just stepped into a bad 80s graphic. Like, the Dormammu bit was just, it was laughable, really. It just felt like it was shoehorned in for fan service. So, you know, my prediction about the villain was right. You know, Matt's character was nothing more than a puppet for Dormammu, and yep, okay, there's another villain turned to dust. And I also predicted that the love story would be completely pointless, and we wouldn't even need Rachel Adams' character. You cut her from the film, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the relationship between her and Stephen. It doesn't even change Stephen Strange's story arc, if you really want to be generous and call it a story arc. Pros, you know, sure, some of the visuals were okay-ish. They were fine. Cape, I guess, was alright. People really loved the cape. I guess I don't really get the cape. The humor just wasn't landing in this film at all. I mean, when the librarian was looking at Stephen Strange, when he was trying to be funny, and it was just kind of like, he's not laughing because what you're saying isn't funny. The writing didn't feel like they were writing for the actor. The lines that Benedict Cumberbatch was delivering felt like they were lines for Tony Stark. I mean, I didn't laugh in this entire film. And normally Marvel films are kind of known for their wit and their humor, and you get a couple of chuckles out of them, but I literally got none out of this film. And then there's the music. The music is composed by the same chap who did the 2009 Star Trek film.
Similar.
I don't even know what to say. How lazy can you be? One of the biggest complaints that I have with this film is that it has an overabundance of exposition. There's this kind of training scene between Doctor Strange and Mordo, and basically it's just a moment for us to learn who the villain is through exposition. That's not really showing tension. That's not really showing Stephen Strange, you know, what he's really up against. It's just like, oh, here's a quick info dump for the audience, and then we can quickly move on. And so for me, overall, the characters felt two-dimensional. They kind of felt like they were just doing things because the plot required them to, and because the comic book said so. And can we just talk about the logic of ghosts? Because that whole ghost fight made no sense, because sometimes they're like crashing into the wall and they're like being stopped by the wall. But then sometimes when it's convenient for graphics, they're like flying through the wall. And I didn't get that. Like, I was like thinking, what's the physics here? Like, they should either just always be flying through the wall, or they should be not, or like make it clearer that they're stopping themselves. So overall, Strange is a lackluster addition to the MCU. It retreads Iron Man 1 disgustingly, and just kind of throws in Matrix and Inception stuff to kind of ooh and awe the crowd. It's a story that is lacking in substance and lacking in quality. And, you know, I am one who firmly believes that comic book films can have, you know, substance and can tell incredible stories and can be inspirational and motivational. Doctor Strange is none of that. Feel like maybe a huge amount of this praise is coming just from star power, because people really love Mads and people really love Benedict Cumberbatch, but they're not really interested in the story. They're just really interested in watching those actors say things on a screen. So what did you think? Comment below. Let me know how wrong I am. I can't wait.